Well, amid reports of further rate hikes by the RBA that could tip the country into a recession, Treasurer Jim Chalmers is choosing to stay optimistic, fronting media to say he's hopeful that inflation has finally peaked. Joining us to discuss is Tasmania Senator Jackie Lambie and editor of Stella and Body and Soul magazine, Sarah Markland. Good to see you both this morning. Now, Jackie, I want to come to you. The Coalition has dismissed the Treasurer's comments as spin ahead of this year's May budget. Do you agree?
Oh, it is really concerning out there, Sarah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, people have done their Christmas shopping. We all know that we usually overspend in that period of time, and then our credit card bills come in at the end of January, early February, and then we've got all the school clothes and that to buy. It starts to get even tougher. It is really concerning, the prices out there in the supermarkets. The petrol's still really high. Something's got to give, but quite frankly, with all the instability around the whole of the world, I'm not so sure. I certainly will be keeping my pennies close to my chest. I won't be spending on anything unless I have to. And it's like those people with their interest rates. I got a little bit smarter. I thought I'm going to take a gamble here. And I actually went and had mine fixed in July last year, and that's already paid dividends for me. So I had mine reset. So I suggest to those people, if they're still concerned about that, if those interest rates are going to continue to go up, go and speak to your bank.
So is a bit of spin then, you think, that the public shouldn't necessarily trust the government and actually do it themselves?
Well, I don't think the public trusts the government anyway, so let's be honest about that. I would just be keeping my pennies close to my chest. I have my doubts as well. It's not a time to be playing with money, I can tell you right now.
Sarah, optimism or naivety?
Well, probably spin, I think. So I think the Treasurer is probably too smart to be naive. Look, it's some ways you want to believe the good news, don't you? And you love, I think we could all do with a little bit of optimism, but absolutely the cost of living crisis is very real. If even what we talk about every week here on this show is a litmus test for the concerns of living rooms around the country, and it is, then we know that it's front of mind. I think the only promising thing is that if there's been a peak, we know that it's not going to turn around very quickly, but just knowing that possibly there'll be some alleviation of pressure on the hip pocket in the months to come is really good. But I do think that we're probably headed for a very long, hard winter ahead.
Yeah, it's tough out there, that's for sure. Now, speaking of the Treasurer, he's also accused Peter Dutton of playing divisive politics around the voice to Parliament. Jackie, Dutton keeps asking for more detail, which Jim Chalmers and the PM are blasting, saying there is enough out there. This topic is too important to stuff up. What's your take on it?
Somebody want to tell Jim Chalmers it's not just myself or Peter Dutton asking for more information. It's the whole community out there. So, I mean, I've been out and about on the summer run out there, and there's plenty of Tasmanians saying, what does this do to close the gap? So why don't you start connecting the dots and tell us how this is going to close the gap? But I can tell you, if you look at the disaster that's going on in Alice Springs right now, tell me how you're going to fix that. Because I've got a whole community out there that's too scared to go out after 5 o'clock. That's where we're at, and it's not the only big Indigenous community out there where I've got people out there too scared to leave their homes. We've got a massive problem out there, and it needs to be fixed. And we want to know by putting those lovely words in what that is going to do to close the gap. And I think that is a fair question. So please tell us.
How much detail do we need, Sarah?
Well, as long as people have questions, we have to answer them. So when the Treasurer accuses Peter Dutton of being divisive and playing by the Scott Morrison, Tony Abbott playbook, is he right? Yes, but you know what? Who actually cares? What's the objective? Is the objective that the referendum is passed and that a voice is enshrined to Parliament? I think it should be. I think some of the concerns that Jackie just raises are absolutely questions that people have. Now, whether that information's out there, whether those questions are valid or not, it's actually not up to a politician to say, you've got everything you need to know. People are asking a question, answer it. Jackie, some of the things you talk about, there is actually a lot of evidence. This just isn't symbolic. This is actually a real opportunity for Indigenous Australians to see practical advice and the way that their lives are impacted, rather than people legislating for them, but to be legislating with them. It's a great opportunity. So if there's any confusion about it, let's eradicate that confusion with information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just finally, Ryan Gosling has shut down the Sydney Harbour Bridge over the weekend. The Hollywood's heartthrob seen performing his own stunts for an upcoming movie. Jackie, you wouldn't mind driving past that, would you?
No, I don't actually mind driving past him. I'd rather Tom Cruise myself. I'm happy to cook him a lamb chop over here in Tasmania land.
I don't even know if it's him, to be honest. Is it him or is he his stunt double? How could you tell?
It is him.
The money that it brings in, like we've had a lot of filming done down here. One thing COVID did do was show us that that spanner down here. And I tell you, in some of these little communities, in the mining communities down here that have been given that have been shut down and trying to find a breath to get moving again, my goodness me, the benefits that it's served up to Tasmania over the last 3 years has been amazing.
Oh, well, that's good because it's cost a bit to put
I don't know what the Sydney siders think. I know that they try to do it, in hours where there's not much traffic and that, whether or not what they benefit from that, but the benefit that we have got down here in Tasmania over the last 3 years has been bloody amazing in most communities.
That's good to know. Sarah, I just want to very quickly take you to our very own Carl and his stunt double, which he regularly uses. Take a look. I mean, the resemblance here, it's just uncanny. I don't know, which one's Carl? Can you tell?
I can't tell them apart.
No.
That's the same person, isn't it, Sarah?
It looks like the same person. Oh, look, he's in the studio.
Yeah.
Chris, is that you?
Listen,
He woke up.
Carl's just ducked out. What a tosser he is. This is Chris. I'll be with you for the rest of the week.
Oh, yes, you have just made my week. Chris. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, ladies.